Welcome back to the Football Appreciation YouTube channel. Now, the Premier League season ended a matter of hours ago, so I feel like it's fair to rank everyone now. So I'm going to do a Premier League tier list. I put brilliant, good, okay, poor, and atrocious. And yeah, let's get into it. If you subscribe, if you disagree with anything I say in it, cool. It's just my opinion. And comment below. I'll reply if you disagree. But yeah, let's get into it. So let's start with Southampton. By the way, I did a manager's tier list, and these aren't going to be the same. I'm choosing this as the whole club, not just the manager, if you get what I mean. For Southampton, I think it's been an okay season, purely because their squad's terrible. Like, Southampton's squad is woeful. It's got no depth. So the fact that they finished 15th and not been really in a relegation battle at all is a success. Same with Burnley. You know, look, Burnley are just above the relegation ceiling, right? But technically, because it's 17th, but they're 11 points safe. They were never in danger. That's what Burnley want. That's not a poor season for Burnley. That's just an okay season for them. Brighton, I want to put it in, I think Graham Potter's better than Brighton, if that makes sense. I think it's been an okay season for Brighton, but Brighton have never finished in the top 10 since they got promoted. And this is their 5th season in the league. It would be good if they'd got in the top 10, but they haven't. So it's been another solid season. They're progressing. I like the way Brighton work. I think they're a really progressive club, but you can only put it as okay because they didn't ever get that top 10. But you can go watch my tier list on the managers if you want to know what I think about Graham Potter. He was definitely higher. Let's go Arsenal, atrocious. I think everyone can agree on that. You know, FA Cup, League Cup, didn't do anything in those. 8th in the Premier League. You know, it's not like they're massively underperforming their points or anything. If anything, they're overperforming. They've got more points than XG suggest. So, atrocious. You know, for a club of that size, with the squad they've got. I'm not saying it's an incredible squad, but the fact that players like Maitland-Niles and Willock left and instantly kind of did better, it's just worrying for them. I don't really see a good future with them, with their owner or Arteta. It's been atrocious. I'm sure Arsenal fans want to forget this season. West Brom, it's poor because they got relegated. You can't put a relegated team any higher than this, but I don't think it's atrocious because I think West Brom knew they were getting relegated. They took big swings on Dean Garner and Carlin Grant. Didn't work out, but it's kind of what I expected them to be. They finished 19th. It's kind of just what we expected. However, Fulham, I'd put in atrocious. Now, they got the same amount of wins as West Brom. They both got 5. And look, they only got 2 more points than West Brom. And I'm not saying they're like an awful side. They're not. And they have been a bit unlucky with, you know, missing big chances. But with that squad, I feel like Fulham wanted to stay in the Prem. They made their intent clear. You know, for me, Areola, Robinson, Joachim Anderson, Adebayo, Harrison Reed, Anguissa, Loftus-Cheek, Lookman, these are all Premier League players. I can't do that with West Brom. Whereas Fulham, I think their squad's good. I think it was good enough to stay up. And I don't think Scott Barker's done a good job at all. They've only won 5 games, which is the joint lowest in the Prem. I just think it's been a bad season for Fulham overall. Palace, okay. Again, it's just been okay. Palace are just the most boring club in the Prem. They own 14th. And for me, they're going to be down here next season. I can't see them getting any better. Their squad's old. It's uninspiring. They need to, like, fix up Palace. Leeds, I think Leeds, brilliant season. You know, 59. I said this in their Bielsa video. You know, 59 points is incredible for a promoted team. You know, they've added a lot to the league. I think it's a bit cringy the way people big Bielsa up sometimes, but you know, if you're just looking at it objectively by numbers, they've been amazing. And their squad's fun. I think a lot of their players are likeable. And yeah, it's been a brilliant season for Leeds. You can't really say anything more. Sheffield United, I don't think their squad's as good as Fulham. Genuinely, it's been a poor season, but I think they just seem worse because they were so good last season. But they overperformed last season. They shouldn't have been there. They should have been relegated last season. Their squad's awful. So I can't put them in atrocious. And ultimately, they won 7 games, didn't they? Yeah, they won more games than Fulham and West Brom. They only won 2 less games than Brighton, which is mental. That is genuinely absurd. But yeah, I think with Sheffield, they've got a good squad for the Championship. They'll come back up. I don't really know who they'll get as manager, but Sheffield United, it's been a poor season, but I wouldn't go, it's atrocious. Tottenham is atrocious. It's awful. Tottenham's squad's amazing. Like, at least with Arsenal's squad, you can say it has some holes in it. Tottenham's squad's really good. And like I said this in the manager video as well, but based on expected points, Tottenham are the 10th worst side in the Premier League. Do you know how embarrassing that is? With that squad, the 10th worst side in the Premier League. And obviously Mourinho's a part of that as well. But if you're just looking at it as a club overall, they didn't go far in the Europa League. They didn't do anything in any of the cups. Atrocious season for them. West Ham, obviously brilliant. West Ham really annoy me. They're one of those clubs that just annoy me because of the amount of money they spend and just waste. And I think most West Ham fans would agree with me on that. But this season, again, just an amazing season for David Moyes, and 19 wins. That's only one less than Leicester, the same as Chelsea. With that squad, that squad's not good. It's that squad is like a bottom half Premier League side at best. And to be in that top tier, Moyes has done an incredible job, and fair play to the owners for once. Liverpool, they didn't do anything in any of the cups. They went out of the Champions League quite early, but there's so many mitigating factors in that. Obviously, they haven't had a brilliant season, but ultimately they've got third. They've got third, and if you just said that a few months ago, look, ultimately Liverpool's final third's been good. The first third was good. It was just that middle part that was so bad that was like down here. But overall, I think they've had a good season given the circumstances. If you ignore the circumstances, then it's down here, obviously. But you've got to take things into context. Man United, you see, it feels harsh to put Man United in the same one as Liverpool, but you kind of have to. Because I don't think they've had a brilliant season, because they did, going out to Leicester in the FA Cup semi-final was really poor. Or was it the quarter-final? They didn't do anything in the League Cup. They went out the Champions League, which I think, look, winning the Europa League, which they probably will do, is impressive, but they did get knocked out of the Champions League in quite an embarrassing way. They've had I think this has been a really good, solid season for Solskjaer, but they need to build on this now. This can't just be a let's finish second, then sack Solskjaer in a few months like that happened with Mourinho. They have to build on this now. They have to strike. Otherwise, this is just a waste of time. But I think Solskjaer's done a good job. Most of their signings have, Cavani worked, Ahmad looks all right. Van der Beek's been misused, but I don't think he was a bad signing by the club. That's more of a Solskjaer thing. So yeah, Man United, good season. Everton, I kind of want to say poor, They finished 10th in the end, right? I'm going to put them in okay, purely because their squad's terrible. Well, not terrible, but I don't think their squad's balanced. I think it lacks pace, it lacks wide players. And if you bring in Carlo Ancelotti, I spoke about this in my manager tier list video, but if you bring in Carlo Ancelotti, you have to give him a squad. Everton probably have the 10th best squad in the Premier League and they finished 10th. That's what Ancelotti does. He gets the best out of a good squad. You bring him in when you have a good squad that's underperforming. Everton have brought him in to an underperforming squad that's not good. So I don't really know what they were expecting. It's been okay. They ended the Anfield hoodoo, and there are some good signs out of this season, but underperformed in the end. Villa, good season. I think that's pretty fair. I think they finished 11th in the end, right? But Villa were atrocious last season. They were atrocious. They were awful to watch. Their defence was a mess. Wesley was awful. Whoever they played on the right wing, whether it was El Ghazi or Trezeguet, always looked like a waste of time, at least to me anyway. But they've fixed that right wing solution. El Ghazi's kicked on. Trezeguet's been a bit more useful. Traore's been good. The defence has been solved. Jack Grealish just took another step forward. Most of their signings have worked, bar Ross Barkley. Good season for Villa. Wolves, I'd put them in okay purely because of circumstance. Obviously, it should be down here really, but the injuries, kind of like with Liverpool, you have to take that into account. They finished ultimately 13th in the end, I think. Yeah, that's a fair enough season. Promotion 7th, 13th. You're always going to have down year. And obviously Nuno leaving is really interesting. I did some videos on that a few days ago. But I think it's been an okay season for Wolves, assuming they build on this. Leicester, good season. Again, a club of Leicester's size. Leicester aren't a big club, historically. They finished 5th, and I think they probably have the 5th or 6th best squad in the Prem. So they're performing to their level for me. They've had loads of injuries. I think they've been unlucky in certain parts. Vardy's gone off a cliff in the second half of the season. At least some open play goals anyway. And, the FA Cup's obviously a massive one. Actually, you know what? Brilliant. I completely forgot about the FA Cup. You have to put it in brilliant. When a club like Leicester wins the FA Cup, you have to put it in brilliant. And they've got Europa League football again. I think going out of the Europa League in the way they did to Slavia Prague, that was a bit of a blip. But you have to put them in brilliant because of the FA Cup and finishing for Europe again. Newcastle, I think it's an okay season. Obviously, they're terrible. They're awful. They're horrid to watch. But 12th place with that squad, and given where they were a few months ago, Mike Ashley will be happy with that season. I'm not saying Newcastle fans should be. If you're a Newcastle fan, obviously it's going to be atrocious, but as a club, they stayed up when their squad's bad. So you kind of have to put them in okay, even though they're awful. Man City, obviously brilliant. I don't need to waste everyone's time. Champions League final will, put the icing on the cake, obviously. But even if they lose the Champions League final in an embarrassing way, it's still been an amazing season. It's the first time I've ever watched Man City consistently and not been worried about their defence. Obviously, Ruben Dias has been a big part of that, but so is Zinchenko and Gundogan as well. Obviously, and they've won the League Cup as well. It was a brilliant season. Chelsea is the most interesting one for me, because you can make an argument that if they win the Champions League, they're up here. If they don't win the Champions League, but they've got top four, so they're here. But then you could also argue that they lost the League Cup, the FA Cup final. They got knocked out by Tottenham in the League Cup, and they only got the Champions League because Leicester lost on the final day. And you could also make the argument all of those things, plus the fact that they spend so much money, they're down here. Obviously, this is before the Champions League final. If they win the Champions League final, obviously it's been a brilliant season. But without it, given the amount of money they spent, I just think it's been an okay season in their history. I don't think anyone's going to look back on the season unless they win the Champions League final with any real emotion. Obviously Thomas Tuchel's come in and done a really good job, but that squad is a title-winning squad in terms of quality, in terms of money, in terms of depth, and they just scraped fourth. It's not that impressive, and they haven't scored many goals either. That's concerning for me. Leeds, West Ham, Tottenham, Leicester have all scored more goals than them, and obviously the Manchester clubs. So I think it's been an okay season. If they'd won the FA Cup, it'd be here. If they win the Champions League, it'd be here. And I think obviously Chelsea will win the league in the next few years. They'll go on to great things. But purely on this season and the whole of the season, you can only put them in okay, for me. But yeah, that's my tier list. Let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe. If you disagree, just let me know. I'll reply and explain my reasoning. But yeah, subscribe, like the video. Peace.